This report addresses deeply disturbing allegations of severe child abuse. The focus is on a case originating in Benton, Arkansas. These allegations involve horrific acts against a young girl. The individuals accused in this case are Daniel Kaler, age 31, and Annie Kaler, age 29. The information presented here is based on details provided by law enforcement. It draws from the police affidavit and online booking records related to the arrests. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The chain of events leading to intervention began with the victim herself. The young girl disclosed the abuse she was enduring. She bravely shared her experience with a school counselor. The counselor recognized the gravity of the situation. They took immediate and appropriate action. The counselor involved the police department without delay. The Benton Police Department responded to the report. Their involvement initiated the official investigation into the allegations. This critical step brought the case into the legal system. Following the investigation, arrests were made. Daniel Kaler was taken into custody. Annie Kaler was also arrested in connection with the case. Both arrests occurred on May 9th. The allegations describe a pattern of horrific abuse against the young girl. This included both active violence and severe neglect. The abuse is reported to have been repeated over a significant period. Specific allegations have been made against Daniel Kaler. He is accused of repeatedly raping the girl. This horrific abuse allegedly began in August of 2020. The affidavit indicates the alleged rapes continued for 3 years. In addition to sexual abuse, Daniel Kaler is also accused of physical abuse. Further allegations include forcing the girl to use drugs. Allegations have also been made against Annie Kaler. She is accused of physical abuse against the girl. Like Daniel Kaler, she is also accused of forcing the girl to use drugs. One particularly disturbing allegation against Annie Kaler involves a stabbing. She allegedly stabbed the girl in the neck. The stated reason for this violent act was reportedly that the girl did not do dishes correctly. Both Daniel and Annie Kaler face allegations of combined actions. These include physical abuse and forced drug use. They are also accused of severe deprivation of basic necessities for the child. The details of this deprivation are profoundly disturbing. The girl was allegedly given only 1 Pop-Tart per week for sustenance. She was also reportedly allowed only 1 glass of water per week. Her living conditions were described as inhumane. She was allegedly forced to sleep in a bathtub. While sleeping there, she was reportedly denied a blanket. She was also denied a pillow. The young victim's experience was one of constant fear. This pervasive fear significantly impacted her ability to seek help. It prevented her from reporting the abuse earlier. The trauma she endured led to profound psychological distress. She reportedly felt that the abuse was somehow her own fault. This is a common and tragic response in victims of prolonged abuse. The suffering she experienced was profound. The trauma inflicted upon her was both physical and emotional. It created a barrier to disclosure for a significant time. The specific relationship between the accused couple and the young girl has not been publicly disclosed. It remains unclear how they were connected. This detail is not available in the initial reports. However, a specific threat is alleged to have been made. Daniel Kaler allegedly told Annie Kaler she would kill her if the girl told anyone about the abuse. This threat was reportedly made after an instance of rape. This alleged threat played a significant role. It contributed directly to the girl's fear. It also reinforced her silence regarding the abuse she was suffering. Based on the investigation, charges have been filed against Daniel Kaler. These charges include rape and sexual assault. He is also charged with permitting child abuse. Additionally, Daniel Kaler faces a charge of endangering the welfare of a child. These charges reflect the severity of the allegations against him. They cover both direct abuse and allowing abuse to occur. Charges have also been filed against Annie Kaler. She is charged with permitting child abuse. She also faces a charge of endangering the welfare of a child. Further charges against Annie Kaler include battery. She is also charged with terroristic threats. A charge of introduction of a controlled substance into another body has also been filed against her. These charges against both individuals highlight the range of alleged offenses. They encompass physical harm, psychological terror, neglect, and facilitating abuse. The legal process will now address these serious accusations. As of the available information, the legal proceedings are ongoing. The case is moving through the court system. Further details will likely emerge as it progresses. It is currently unclear if either Daniel Kaler or Annie Kaler has entered a plea. This information is not part of the initial public record. Pleas are typically entered at later stages of the legal process. It is also unclear if legal representation has been formally retained by the accused. Defendants have the right to legal counsel. This information may become public as court dates are set. The case remains active within the judicial system. The allegations are subject to legal review and process. The outcome will be determined through these proceedings. The details of this case are a stark reminder of the hidden nature of child abuse. It underscores the critical role of individuals like school counselors in identifying and reporting suspected abuse. Their intervention can be life-saving. The alleged duration and severity of the abuse highlight systemic challenges. These include recognizing signs of abuse and creating safe environments for children to disclose. The fear described by the victim is a significant barrier. The alleged threats made to maintain silence are a common tactic used by abusers. They exploit the victim's vulnerability and fear of repercussions. This reinforces the isolation of the child. The charges filed reflect the multiple dimensions of the alleged harm. Rape, sexual assault, physical battery, and neglect are all represented. Permitting child abuse charges address the failure to protect the child. Endangering the welfare of a child charges speak to the overall environment created. The alleged deprivation of food, water, and basic comfort like a blanket is a form of severe neglect. Forcing a child to sleep in a bathtub is inhumane. The alleged introduction of a controlled substance into a child is a particularly heinous act. This charge against Annie Kaler adds another layer of depravity to the allegations. It speaks to a complete disregard for the child's health and safety. Terroristic threats charges against Annie Kaler likely relate to the alleged stabbing incident. Threatening a child with a weapon, especially over a minor infraction like doing dishes, demonstrates extreme violence and control. The legal process will examine the evidence related to each of these charges. The affidavit provides the initial basis for the arrests and charges. Further investigation and testimony will be part of the court proceedings. Cases like this are profoundly challenging for everyone involved. For law enforcement, they require sensitive and thorough investigation. For legal professionals, they involve navigating complex and emotionally charged evidence. For child advocates and social workers, they represent a failure of protective systems. They highlight the urgent need for intervention and support for the victim. The long-term trauma for the child will require extensive care. For the community, such cases are a call to vigilance. Recognizing signs of abuse, understanding reporting mechanisms, and creating supportive networks are vital. Child abuse is a community problem requiring community solutions. The objective reporting of these facts is crucial for awareness. It informs the public and relevant professionals about the realities of child abuse. It underscores the need for prevention efforts. Training for mandatory reporters, like school counselors, is essential. Their ability to identify and act on disclosures is a critical line of defense. The counselor in this case exemplifies the importance of this role. Advocacy for stronger child protection laws and resources is also vital. Cases of this severity demonstrate the extreme harm that can occur when abuse goes undetected or unreported for extended periods. The legal status being ongoing means the case is still developing. The presumption of innocence applies to the accused until proven guilty. However, the allegations themselves warrant serious attention and action. The details from the affidavit paint a grim picture of daily life for the young girl. The alleged routine deprivation and violence speak to a systematic pattern of abuse. This was not an isolated incident, according to the allegations. The alleged 3-year duration of the sexual abuse is particularly horrifying. This prolonged trauma has devastating effects on a child's development and well-being. The impact is lifelong. The alleged reason for the stabbing, not doing dishes correctly, illustrates the arbitrary and cruel nature of the violence. It shows a complete lack of proportion and a willingness to inflict severe harm over trivial matters. Forcing a child to use drugs is another form of profound abuse and endangerment. It exposes them to harmful substances and potential addiction. It further demonstrates the alleged perpetrator's disregard for the child's health. The fear that prevented the girl from reporting is a powerful element in abuse cases. Abusers often isolate victims and instill fear of retaliation. This makes disclosure incredibly difficult and dangerous for the child. The alleged threat from Daniel Kaler to Annie Kaler regarding the girl telling anyone underscores this dynamic. It suggests a conspiracy to conceal the abuse and intimidate anyone who might break the silence. The charges of permitting child abuse against both individuals are significant. They indicate that even if one person was not the primary perpetrator of a specific act, they allegedly allowed the abuse to happen. This is a form of complicity. Endangering the welfare of a child charges are broad and cover various forms of neglect and creating an unsafe environment. The alleged living conditions and deprivation clearly fall under this category. The legal process will seek to establish the facts based on evidence. This evidence will likely include the victim's testimony, forensic evidence, and potentially other witness accounts. The outcome of the legal proceedings will determine the accountability of the accused. However, the impact on the victim is already profound and requires immediate and long-term support services. Cases like this serve as a sobering reminder of the vulnerability of children. They highlight the responsibility of adults and institutions to protect them. They also show the courage required for a child to speak out. The objective presentation of these facts is intended to inform and educate. It is crucial for professionals and the public to understand the signs, dynamics, and consequences of severe child abuse. Prevention efforts must address the root causes of abuse and neglect. They must also empower children and provide them with safe avenues for disclosure. Education for parents and caregivers is also essential. Advocacy work is needed to ensure that victims receive the support and resources they need for healing. This includes trauma-informed care, therapy, and a safe living environment. The legal system's role is to seek justice for the victim and hold perpetrators accountable. The ongoing nature of this case means that process is currently underway in Benton, Arkansas. The details alleged in this case are difficult to hear. They represent the worst forms of cruelty against a child. Addressing such cases requires a collective effort from law enforcement, social services, legal professionals, and the community. The goal of sharing this information is not sensationalism. It is to raise awareness about the reality of child abuse. It is to encourage vigilance and action to protect vulnerable children. Every child deserves to live free from fear, violence, and neglect. Cases like this remind us how far we still have to go to achieve that goal for all children. The focus must remain on the victim and ensuring her safety and recovery. The legal proceedings will continue. The facts will be presented in court. The outcome will be determined by the judicial process. This report has presented the publicly available information based on the outline provided. It details the allegations, the initial actions taken, and the charges filed. The severity of the alleged abuse is the central focus. The case in Benton, Arkansas stands as a tragic example of the potential for hidden suffering. It underscores the importance of every individual's role in child protection.